When you start to grow, truly grow, it doesn't just affect you, it affects everything and everyone around you. Growth is not a silent, invisible process. It's loud in subtle ways. It shakes the ground beneath the assumptions others have made about you, often without them even realizing it. When you become more disciplined, more focused, more deliberate in your actions, you start sending a message, whether you intend to or not. And that message is simple. I'm no longer who I used to be. People build mental frameworks around the roles others play. They rely on predictability. When someone they knew as passive begins to speak with clarity and confidence, it forces them to adjust. When someone who was once disorganized starts creating structure, setting goals, and following through on them, it puts a mirror in front of those who have stayed the same. Growth disrupts comfort because it challenges the status quo. And that status quo includes the comfort others had in believing you would always be less than what you're becoming now. This can provoke subtle resistance. Maybe it shows up as sarcasm when you share your goals. Maybe it's a quiet withdrawal from people who used to be close to you. It can even turn into open criticism, disguised as concern. But make no mistake, what they're reacting to isn't arrogance or change for its own sake. They're reacting to the discomfort they feel from being forced to confront their own lack of movement. Your progress becomes a spotlight, and not everyone is comfortable being seen in that light. This is why some people prefer you weak, tired, and stuck. It's not always out of cruelty. Sometimes it's because your stagnation made them feel secure about their own. When you start to demand more from yourself, when you seek to order your life, take responsibility, and develop resilience, it unsettles those who haven't done the same. Your effort becomes evidence that they had a choice all along. And choices carry responsibility. Growth also changes how you carry yourself. It affects your speech, your habits, even your posture. You begin to speak from a place of clarity rather than confusion, and you stop tolerating the things you used to endure. This too disrupts people. They may interpret your new boundaries as rejection, when in reality, you're simply no longer willing to stay small to make others feel comfortable. But this is the price of transformation. You cannot become who you're meant to be and still remain palatable to everyone who knew you before the change began. Your growth is going to disturb some people, and it should, because comfort that relies on someone else's silence or weakness is not true stability. It's dependency. When you begin to grow, you are declaring independence, and independence always carries tension. Growth is not just a personal journey, it is a social disturbance, but that disturbance is necessary. It's the cost of becoming who you are meant to be. When you begin to rise, when you commit to self-discipline, clarity, and meaningful goals, you shine a light on the choices others have made not to do the same. That light is not always welcomed. People often say they want the best for you, but the truth is, not everyone does. Many are comfortable with the version of you that stayed quiet, uncertain, and stuck. That version made no demands, posed no threat, and more importantly, asked no difficult questions, especially the kind that force others to look inward. But when you start to rise, your actions start to challenge their narrative. Excuses are fragile. They're built on justifications, distractions, and half-truths people use to avoid responsibility. Maybe they tell themselves there wasn't enough time, that the system was against them, that it wasn't the right moment. And for a while, those stories work, until someone like you, someone who came from the same background, had the same obstacles, faced the same fears, chooses a different path, and starts moving forward. That movement is a problem for them, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're proving that the path was always possible. Your rise becomes undeniable evidence that effort matters. It shows that while pain and difficulty are real, they don't have to define you. And that's the exact thing many people try to avoid admitting. If you succeed, then they are forced to reckon with the reality that maybe they could have tried harder. Maybe they could have made different decisions. Maybe the life they settled for didn't have to be the one they chose. That kind of realization is deeply uncomfortable, and so they push back, Sometimes they do it quietly, with withdrawal or silence. Sometimes they do it more directly, with criticism, sarcasm, or subtle discouragement. They might say you're lucky, that you changed, that you've forgotten where you came from. They'll say anything to protect the scaffolding of excuses they've built around themselves. But the truth is simple. You haven't changed into someone new. You've simply started becoming who you were meant to be all along. That's threatening only to those who have avoided doing the same. What makes this difficult is that some of these people will be close to you. Friends, family, colleagues, people you once trusted, and it can be painful to watch them turn cold or distant. But their discomfort is not your burden. Their resistance is not your responsibility. You didn't rise to spite them. You rose because staying small began to feel like betrayal, and now that you've taken those steps forward, you are showing others what's possible. Whether they choose to see it as inspiration or insult is entirely up to them. Your progress removes their cover, it breaks the illusion that they had no choice, and that's why your rise, without a single word, can say more than any argument ever could. It shows the difference between reasons and excuses. And it's that clarity that some people cannot tolerate. Courage is often mistaken for something flashy or dramatic, like the kind of heroism we see in movies or in moments of extraordinary risk. But real courage, the kind that shapes lives and builds character, is not always about confronting danger or fighting in grand battles. Sometimes, courage is the quiet act of choosing to live with integrity when it would be easier to do the opposite. It is standing firm in your beliefs when everyone around you is telling you to compromise. It is the willingness to speak the truth, even when the truth is uncomfortable, unpopular, or inconvenient. Courage is not just physical bravery, it is moral bravery, and it is one of the most important virtues anyone can cultivate. To act courageously is to act with a sense of responsibility. When you choose to do what is right, even when it's hard, you are declaring that the right thing matters more than your immediate comfort. It is a decision to prioritize something larger than yourself, a commitment to your values, to what is meaningful, and to the greater good. When you stand up for truth, you're not just fighting for your own freedom, but for the freedom of others to see and understand things as they truly are. In doing so, you make the world a bit clearer and more honest. But courage is also deeply tied to morality, because it often involves choosing the right path in the face of fear, uncertainty, and personal risk. There are moments in life when it is easy to take shortcuts to deceive, to avoid confrontation, or to pretend that something doesn't matter because confronting it would require effort or sacrifice. In those moments, it takes courage to do the opposite, to confront the discomfort, to engage with the difficult questions, and to refuse to remain silent when silence would be easier. Each of these acts is a moral decision, and each time you choose courage over comfort, you are aligning yourself with a higher standard of truth and integrity. When you act with courage, you are also making a statement about who you are and what you stand for. It is an expression of character, something that cannot be faked or coerced. It flows from a deep understanding of your own values, and it compels you to live consistently with those values, no matter what the world may throw at you. Courage, in this sense, is not just about what you do, it's about who you become in the process. It is a form of moral clarity that refuses to be swayed by external pressures, by fear of judgment, or by the easy path that leads to mediocrity. Moreover, courage is not always an isolated act. It ripples outward, affecting those around you. When you choose to act courageously, you set an example for others, whether they acknowledge it or not. Your courage can become a catalyst for change, inspiring those who witness it to reconsider their own choices and take their own steps toward integrity. It becomes a force that builds community, trust, and respect, because others see that you are someone who can be relied upon to do what is right, no matter the cost. Courage, in its most fundamental sense, is a moral act because it requires us to rise above the trivialities of fear and convenience and to choose what is right and true, no matter the consequences. It is the cornerstone of character, the bedrock upon which all other virtues stand. And it is the quiet power that shapes individuals, communities, and societies. Integrity is more than just an abstract concept or an idealistic virtue. It is a living, breathing force that shapes the world around us in profound and often unseen ways. When you live with integrity, you are consistently true to your values, your principles, and your beliefs, regardless of external pressures or circumstances. It is not just about doing what is right when others are watching. It is about doing what is right even when no one is looking. And this integrity, this adherence to your moral compass, has a ripple effect. It impacts not just your own life, but also the lives of those around you. The consequences of living with integrity are far-reaching, affecting everything from the way people perceive you to the way you influence the world at large. When you act with integrity, you build trust, not just with others, but with yourself. Trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship, whether personal or professional. Without integrity, trust is fragile and fleeting. It's based on convenience or mutual benefit, rather than on something deeper and more enduring. But when your actions align with your values, others begin to rely on your word, knowing that you will follow through, that you will keep promises, and that you will stand by your commitments. This trust creates stronger bonds, fosters deeper connections, and enables cooperation at levels that are impossible without integrity. On a larger scale, your integrity impacts your reputation. Reputation is built over time, and it is earned through consistent, principled action. People notice when you act with integrity, whether they acknowledge it publicly or not. Your reputation becomes a reflection of your character, and it can open doors or close them. A person known for their integrity is someone who will be trusted in high-stakes situations, someone others turn to when honesty and responsibility are required. It is a currency more valuable than fame, wealth, or status, because it is something that cannot be easily bought or faked. Reputation built on integrity gives you influence, real influence not based on manipulation, but on the respect you earn through the consistency of your actions. Your integrity also shapes your own sense of self-worth. The more you align your actions with your values, the more you reinforce your own sense of purpose and identity. Living without integrity, cutting corners, lying, or acting out of alignment with your true belief, leads to internal conflict. You may get short-term rewards, but in the long run, that conflict erodes your self-respect and diminishes your ability to feel proud of who you are. On the other hand, acting with integrity gives you a deep, lasting satisfaction that comes from knowing that you have stayed true to yourself, that you have met your own standards, even when it was hard. This sense of self-respect radiates outward and impacts how others perceive you. The impact of your integrity doesn't stop with those closest to you. It extends to the broader world. Every time you choose integrity over convenience, you reinforce a standard of ethics that others will often follow, whether consciously or unconsciously. Your actions serve as a model for others to emulate. Integrity, in this sense, becomes a form of leadership. It's not about imposing your values on others, but about leading by example, showing that it's possible to live a life rooted in honesty and responsibility, even when the easier path would be to cut corners. This kind of leadership inspires others to uphold the same values, creating a culture of trust, accountability, and authenticity. In a world where shortcuts and compromises are often celebrated, living with integrity stands as a testament to the power of consistency and character. It is the foundation upon which lasting relationships, reputation, and self-worth are built. And though the impact may not always be immediately visible, it shapes the world in ways that can never be undone. To be formidably good is to excel in a way that commands respect, not through force, arrogance, or intimidation, but through sheer competence and character. It means striving for excellence, not for the sake of impressing others, but because you understand that being the best version of yourself is the most honorable path you can walk. It's the quiet, consistent pursuit of mastery, of becoming so skilled, so disciplined, so knowledgeable, that your very presence and actions leave a lasting impression. Being formidably good doesn't require arrogance. It requires dedication to your craft, the willingness to confront your weaknesses, and the strength to continue when others would give up. When you choose to be formidably good, you make a conscious decision to demand more from yourself. Excellence becomes a standard you set for your life, not just in moments of grand opportunity, but in the small, everyday actions that define who you are. It's about setting a high bar and then consistently working to meet it. Being formidably good doesn't mean being perfect. It means always striving to be better, even when you've already achieved a great deal. It's about developing the resilience to overcome setbacks, to grow from failure, and to keep moving forward, even when the world seems to move against you. Competence, when built over time, becomes a form of quiet power. The more proficient you become, the less you need to prove to others. You don't need to boast or seek validation because your skills speak for themselves. This form of competence is different from the superficial kind that seeks recognition. It's deeper, rooted in an authentic understanding of your strengths and limitations, and a commitment to continuous improvement. Being formidably good means you don't rest on your laurels. Instead, you constantly ask yourself how you can get better, how you can refine your skills, and how you can contribute more effectively to the world around you. Being formidably good also means developing a mindset of resilience. The path to excellence is never without obstacles. There will always be setbacks, criticism, and challenges that make you question whether it's worth continuing. But those who are formidably good don't shy away from hardship, they embrace it. They know that every difficulty is an opportunity to grow, every failure a lesson in disguise. It's not that they don't feel the weight of adversity, it's that they have developed the mental and emotional fortitude to endure it and emerge stronger on the other side. This level of mastery, however, is not meant to be kept in isolation. When you are formidably good, you become a source of inspiration to others. Your competence and dedication influence those around you, challenging them to raise their own standards. You lead not through force or authority, but through the quiet strength of your example. People will see your dedication, your consistency, and your results, and they will naturally be drawn to emulate the same level of commitment in their own lives. It's a powerful form of leadership that doesn't require words. It simply requires action. Being formidably good is not about seeking the spotlight. It's about focusing on what you can control and becoming the best version of yourself for your own sake. You become good, not because you want to show the world how capable you are, but because you understand that the only way to make a true impact in the world is through the relentless pursuit of mastery. Excellence, when cultivated over time, becomes a silent force that moves mountains, creates change, and inspires others without a word being spoken. Your transformation echoes far beyond your own life, reverberating in the spaces around you, touching people you may never even realize. It is not just a personal journey, it is a force that ripples outward, impacting the world in ways both subtle and profound. When you change, when you push past your limits, when you evolve into a stronger, more capable version of yourself, the effects are felt by everyone in your orbit. Your transformation becomes a mirror for others, reflecting possibilities they may not have seen before, and at times forcing them to confront their own stagnation. Change is contagious, whether it's positive or negative. The moment you begin to rise, whether it's through personal growth, a new way of thinking, or the courage to face your fears, you stir something in others. They might not immediately understand what's happening, but they feel it. It challenges their own comfort zone. It makes them question their own choices, their own limitations, and perhaps even the very assumptions they've lived with for years. Even if they don't verbalize it, your transformation exposes the gap between where they are and where they could be. This is both uncomfortable and motivating. The discomfort comes from the fact that growth highlights the areas of their life they've neglected or avoided. The motivation stems from the possibility that if you can change, so can they. When you embark on a transformational journey, you create an undercurrent that moves through the relationships you have. Family members, friends, colleagues. They all experience your growth in different ways. Some may respond with admiration, seeing your transformation as something to aspire to. Others might feel threatened, as if your change is a reflection of their own lack of progress. And there will be those who simply don't know how to handle it, because it disrupts the expectations they've had of you. You may no longer fit the role they once placed you in, but no matter how they react, your transformation cannot be ignored. It becomes a challenge to their own comfort, a reminder that staying stagnant is not the only choice. This ripple effect doesn't just stop with those closest to you. The echo of your transformation moves outward into your community, your workplace, and even beyond. When you take bold steps to improve yourself, you begin to influence your surroundings in ways that may not always be visible but are undeniable. The standards you set, the discipline you embody, the values you uphold, these things slowly begin to shape the environment you're in. Others begin to see what is possible, even if they never actively try to follow your path. You raise the bar, and in doing so, you inspire others to raise theirs as well. It's a subtle but powerful shift that gradually becomes the new baseline for those who witness your journey. Perhaps the most profound aspect of your transformation is its lasting impact. The changes you make in yourself don't just stay confined to your own life. They influence future generations, whether you realize it or not. The way you choose to live, the habits you build, the way you treat others, it all leaves a mark. It plants seeds in the minds of those who observe you, and those seeds take root in ways that may not be apparent at first. Your transformation becomes a living legacy, one that continues to echo long after the original changes have taken place. In this way, your journey is never truly over. The echoes of your transformation reverberate, affecting people's lives, shifting cultures, and shaping the world long after the initial shift has taken place.